All right, everyone. Good afternoon. Let's get started. This is the state all-purpose calendar in the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia. I'm Judge Melanie Williams. Today, yes.
We're still there waiting on the jail arrival.
Oh, the jail is not on the screen. Okay, we'll be on hold until they join. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The reset date is February the 9th.
Okay, wonderful.
Oh, they're coming on now.
All right, I believe we're ready to begin now. This is the State Expedited Accusations calendar in the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia. I'm Judge Melanie Williams, and today is January the 27th of 2023. This calendar is for those individuals who have been recently arrested, but the cases have already been formally accused by the Solicitor General. All defendants, you have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney today. All participants, this proceeding is being broadcast over the internet as a live stream. It's also being recorded. That means any member of the public can log on and watch this. Defendants, when I ask you if you understand your rights, that's what I'm referring to. Those who receive a surety bond or a cash bond will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on February the 9th of 2023. Those who receive a signature bond, whether through the jail or through pretrial, will be reset further notice. Any announcements from the Public Defender's Office or the states before we begin? All right. Who do we have first?
Good afternoon, Judge Williams. This is going to be position 14, Mr. Segos.
Okay. And Mr. Segos, your case is 23 CR 0000542A. You're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of November the 30th of 2022. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. Howard, can I have his history, please?
This is 8th arrest. Last was in 2017. Aggravated assault. It was no bill. He's on probation, possession of tools for the commission of a crime. That's 15 SC 139-725. Hold on real quick. See something. Okay, yeah. He was on there for theft by receiving, but that timed out on the 10th of this month. 2012 obstruction, it was NOD. 2008 FTA burglary, possession of tools, possession of a knife or firearm during the commission. 05 hijacking, armed robbery, those were dead dogs.
Okay, thank you. All right, whose case is this for the state?
That's going to be me, Your Honor. My name is Christine Kim for the state, practicing under the Third Year Practice Act.
All right, Ms. Kim, good to have you. Good to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please proceed with your recommendation for Mr. Segos' bond.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. On November 30 of 2022, officers responded to 324 Sawtell Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, in response to a fight. Upon arrival, officers spoke to the victim, LaShonda Salloway, that's LASHONDA, last name SALLAWAY, who stated that her ex-significant other, Antonio Sagos, the defendant, came to the location to pick up their children, who they both share. She stated that when she saw the defendant approaching the house, she met him outside because she had a gentleman friend inside the residence. An argument ensued between them, and when she turned around to go inside to get the children, she heard the mailbox being knocked over. And according to Ms. Odom, this is when she tried to call 911, but the defendant started hitting her in the lower back with a large piece of wood, which later officers observed on the ground near the incident. She also stated that the defendant snatched her phone out of her hand and began to punch her in the face multiple times and then left with her phone. Officers were able to observe swelling to her lower back, which corroborates her story, and officers were also able to confirm that it was the defendant when officers showed her a picture. Your Honor, as pretrial stated, the defendant is he's a flight risk and a high risk of reoffending because he was on probation when this arrest happened. He's also a multi-state offender. This current charge is of a violent nature, and for these charges, the state is requesting a $5,000 surety bond, no further contact with Ms. Salloway, stay away from the incident location of 324 Sawwell Avenue, third-party transfer of the child, 1-day anger awareness class, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna sound for Ms. Salloway. If Ms. Salloway is present on the Zoom conference and wishes to make a statement, this is your opportunity to do so. All right, hearing none. Ms. Kim, is this your client?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Sagos is 45 years old and he is divorced. He has 6 children, total 6 children, and 3 of them are with complaining witness. And Your Honor, my client moved out of that location September 2022, and he resides with his mother at his mom's house, which has a totally different address, 1689 Detroit. And my client has no objection to stay away or no further contact, Your Honor. And he claims that this is not my client, and he is gainfully employed at actually he's self-employed to tow the car, and he's been doing that for 6 years, and he's not going to be qualified for public defender service after this bond hearing. And his highest level of education is 7th grade. He's tried to get GED, but he could not finish, and yet he really has to get out of the jail so that way he can pay for his child support that he has a duty on, that he always pays on time, and also he has to take care of those 3 children as well. No further contact, no stay away, as long as he gets third-party child visitation right, he is totally fine with it, Your Honor. We would like to request for a signature on bond, and yet if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond because of the history, we would like to request for a maximum $1,000 coupon, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Defendant will receive a $3,000 surety bond. He's to have no contact with Ms. Salloway and stay away from the address on Sawtell Avenue. He can arrange to see his children by coordinating that effort through a third party. And he is also to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons as a condition of that surety bond. And he will be reset to state all purpose on the 9th of February. Anything further?
How much
Nothing
was
further to state, Your Honor.
It's $3,000 surety. All right. Best
Honor,
of luck to you, Mrs. Sagos. All right, who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we're going to come to courtroom 3. I have position number 10, Ms. Moore.
All right, good afternoon, Ms. Moore. Your case is 23 CR 0000535F. In this case, you're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of January the 26th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have the history, please?
6 total. Last arrest was in April for terrorist threats. It was out of Colquitt County. Giving false name, NOLO. 2017 out of DeKalb. 2014 simple battery DV. It was non-prost out of Colquitt County. 2013 driving without a valid license, NOLO. That's it.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you.
2011 disorderly conduct out of Colquitt County. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Lewis, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This incident occurred on January 26th. Officers responded to 200 Porch Avenue in Hateville to an active physical fight call and spoke with Ms. Moore. Moore stated that she and her girlfriend, Amberia, that's spelled Amberiah, McCray, were in an argument that turned physical. Moore told the officers that she pushed McCray out the vehicle and was planning to go back to get her after she calmed down. Officers saw Miss McCray approaching and observed fresh scratches to the front of her face and around her nose. But McCray, however, told the officers that the scratches were not recent and that they occurred from another incident. Your Honor, for these reasons, the state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, no further violent contact with Miss McCray, and 1 day of anger awareness. Nothing further.
Okay. What was the location of that 200 Porch Avenue?
200.
There's no one's home. Great. That's a hotel. Or
No.
what is 200 Porch?
I think that was just a street that they were stopped at. I don't
Okay.
think there's any business. And I'm
No
not sure
connection
if Miss
to it.
McCray is on the line or not, but if she is, we'd like to sound for her.
All right. And I'm just making sure there's no connection to that address.
No,
And
ma'am.
to clarify, the state is requesting no further violent contact, not no contact whatsoever.
Yes, ma'am, no further violent contact.
All right. And what's these two are, you said that's her girlfriend. All right. I'm sounding for Miss McCray at this time. If Miss McCray is present on the Zoom conference and wishes to make a statement. All right, hearing none, Miss Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Moore is 30 years old, and she has been here in Georgia all her life. And Your Honor, they do not live together. So my client is totally okay with a stay away and no further contact if she can get signature on bond, because she works as a DoorDash driver. Her income is not really stable, and she is actually renting a room with her auntie, so that she has to really, her financial situation is very, very tight. She graduated from high school successfully, and Your Honor, there's no other previous violence history, and actually it was not, neither of them called for the police. It was third party who kind of saw what was going on, misunderstood the situation, and called the police. So we would like to request for signature on bond. Thank you.
Excuse
All
me,
right.
Judge. We
Yes.
have the victim here who wants to make a statement.
All right, if she could come forward now. And she is the victim, not a family member or anyone else.
She stated she's the victim.
All right.
Hold on 1 second, Judge. Stand right here for me. You gotta take your hat off.
All right, please state your name.
And Brewer McCray.
Ms. McCray, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, what would you like to tell the court today?
That it wasn't in the circumstances that they said something about my appearance as far as that. Being she wasn't responsible for that, how is it still an act of violence?
Okay. Thank you. Is that all you'd like to tell me?
Yes, because she was trying to get my phone. And I guess that's what she mean about pushing me out the car. And we was pulling back and forth over my phone. And as I went out the car, she left. And I'm not sure how that considered as an act of violence.
Would you like to have contact with the defendant?
I'm not sure your question. Like, do I want to see her right now?
Yes, that's what I'm asking. What the court is most concerned with is whether you like me to order her to stay away from you. That's really what I want to know and why we'd ask you to come to court. Do you wish to have contact with her?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That's what I needed to know. Ms. McCray, I appreciate you coming to court and making that statement today, all right?
Yes, we should be having a bond today.
I'm gonna give my bond ruling in a moment, all right? Thank you. All right, in light of that testimony, anything further from the state or defense?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive a $2,000 surety bond. She's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim, last name McCray. And she's furthermore to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Ms. Moore. Who do we have next?
Next, we have position number 2, Ms. Campbell.
All right, Ms. Campbell, your case is 22 CR 0000528E. In this case, you're charged with cruelty to animals with the offense date of the 23rd of December of 2022. Do you understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Howard,
Second arrest. Last was 2021 for battery. It was non-profit.
okay, thank you. Mr. Rogers,
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
good afternoon. Good to see you.
Thank you. The facts for this case are on December 23rd of 2022, officers were dispatched to 4021 Lakemont Drive, apartment 12H. Miss Tatiana Campbell's neighbor called police to report a dog was tied to the porch in front of her door. The dog, it was 14 degrees outside. The dog was without food, shelter, or water. For that reason, they asked her neighbor who owned the dog. They said Miss Campbell owned the dog, and they went and knocked on Miss Campbell's door. Miss Campbell refused to bring the dog inside the apartment. She stated that she had had the dog ever since it was 2 months, and she could no longer control the dog. At that time, officers took Miss Campbell into custody for animal cruelty. The state is recommending a $2,000 surety bond in this case, Your Honor. That's all.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Miss Campbell, is 28 years old, single mother with a 10-month-old baby. Your Honor, this happened on December 23, 2022, and she was arrested actually today. Your Honor, because she was communicating with a law enforcement officer about the dog. I think it is illegal to have a dog outdoor, Your Honor. There is a house outside of her backyard for the dog. She is not raising the dog inside of the house ever since she has a baby. So if you have to choose between baby and a dog, I mean, any mother will choose over baby safety, Your Honor. And dog was outside. It was unleashed just one night on December 23, 2022. Dog has a food, shelter, and there's a certificate that shows that he has been vaccinated and all the things. So we would like to request for signature on bond for this. She's qualified for that. Thank you.
All right, defendant will receive a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services. She's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Ms. Campbell. What do we have next?
Did you say 2,000 or 3,000?
2,000 SOB through pretrial.
We have position 16, Mr. Wright. He has a private attorney.
All right.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I apologize for not having a shirt and tie on, but they called me at the last minute because I took care of a felony matter for him this morning and we thought it was all taken care of. So my apologies for that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fortis. Let's proceed. Mr. Wright, your case is 23 CR 000-543J. You're charged with fleeing or attempting to elude an officer and driving while your license was suspended or revoked with the offense date of January the 7th. Do you understand your rights? Is that a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. Howard, can I please have his history?
9 total. Last arrest was January 2022. Sale of marijuana, suspended license and obstruction. It's 22 CP 205-711. Got another open case, 22 SC 184348. Ag assault, false imprisonment, terroristic threats, simple battery, hindering person from making emergency call, reckless conduct and cruelty in the third. Got another January 2022 arrest. That's the suspended license, failure to exhibit license. That was a conviction. 2020, that was a false imprisonment. Got probation violations from 2016. 2017, suspended license obstruction. 2017, possession of a Schedule 2 misdemeanor possession of marijuana.
I think that's good. Thank you. Ms. Kim?
Thank you, Your Honor. On January 7, 2023, officers were patrolling on 995 Dogwood Road, Roswell, Georgia, when they observed a blue Ford enter the parking lot at the location. They recognized the vehicle as the same vehicle they entered into GCIC 30 minutes prior, and it returned to Christopher Wright, the defendant, who had a suspended driver's license for an FTA. The driver of the vehicle matched the description and the photo on the GCIC of the returned owner, and so officers initiated the emergency lights to try and conduct a traffic stop, to which the defendant started to flee in an erratic manner. Officers could even hear the tires gyrating as the Ford circled the hotel at the area, and officers advised dispatch that they were not going to pursue the Ford. And officers spoke to the hotel staff, and an employee confirmed that the defendant was staying at the hotel with his girlfriend. Your Honor, the defendant's criminal history shows a history of resisting arrest and a history of fleeing. I believe he even has an open case relating to fleeing and eluding that only happened a few days prior to this incident. He also has a prior driving without license suspended and multiple probation violations, showing that there's a very high risk of reoffending. And he also has a 2022 open violent case for aggravated assault. And for these reasons, the state is requesting a $5,000 cash bond on the fleeing and eluding charge and a $1,000 cash bond on the driving while license suspended, for a total bond of $6,000.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fortis, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, first of all, a cash only bond in the amount of $6,000 is equivalent to about a $60,000 or $70,000 good bond. First and foremost, I've been working with Mr. Wright, and I believe we have his license all straightened out at this point. In the last few weeks, we've been down at the city of Atlanta, and we got his last release letters. So with respect to driving on a suspended license, I believe that his license is now valid. I think the only thing he had to do was take the test. I'm not sure if that has transpired, but regarding current FTAs and suspensions, I'm unaware of any at this point, and I've been the one working on it. Regarding the fleeing, these are misdemeanors. It's a misdemeanor fleeing case, Your Honor, at best. I'm not even sure if it even rises to the level of that. I would ask Judge for a $2,500 bond, broken down as $1,500 on the misdemeanor fleeing and $1,000 good bond on the driving while license suspended, for a $2,500 good bond on both charges.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant will receive a $2,500 good bond, but I'm going to break it down slightly different. It'll be $2,000 on the fleeing and $500 on the license suspension or revoked. And moreover, he's to have no weapons, drugs, or alcohol without a prescription as part of this bond ruling. Is there anything further, Mr. Fortis or Ms. Kim?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Good to see you.
All right, good to see you again. Take care. Mr. Fortis, if that concludes your business, you're excused, and that concludes Mr. Wright's case. Best
Thank
of
you,
luck to
Judge.
you, Mr. Wright.
Have a nice weekend, Judge.
You too, take care.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is ACDC/South Annex. Before you is position number 4, Ms. Franklin. And she also has family in courtroom 2.
All right. This have they heard their rights?
No, she has not.
She has not heard her rights. All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Franklin. Your case is 23 CR 0000530Y. You're charged with 1 count of battery and 1 count of simple battery with the offense date of January the 26th of 2023. I'm going to advise you of your rights. You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney at this proceeding. This proceeding is being broadcast over the internet as a live stream. It's also being recorded. That means any member of the public can log on and watch this. Do you understand your rights and the nature of this proceeding today?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Howard, can I have her history, please?
Third arrest. Her two priors come out of the state of Washington. Last arrest was 2018 for assault. DV, that was dismissed. 2016 out of Seattle. Possession of stolen property. That's it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rogers?
Yes, the facts are on January 26th of 2023, officers arrived to 2035 Peachtree Road in response to a physical dispute. They arrived, they encountered the victim, Sandra Minera, first name Sandra, last name Menera. Miss Minera stated that while she was driving away from the location, Miss Franklin started running after her vehicle. She opened the back door, grabbed Miss Minera by the hair, and began to punch her in the face, causing visible injuries. The officers located Miss Franklin in apartment 2027, and Miss Franklin did admit to getting in the vehicle and striking Miss Minera. We are recommending a $2,500 good bond, $1,500 for the battery and $1,000 for the simple battery. A stay away order from the victim, no further contact with the victim in a 1-day anger awareness class, Your Honor.
Can I please have the stay away address one more time?
7735 Tara, Tara Boulevard in Jonesboro, Georgia.
All right, thank you.
And the victim will stated she will be on live, so we can sound for her.
All right, and all right, I'm sounding for Miss Minera at this time. Is Miss Minera present on the Zoom conference and wishes to make a statement, or is she in the gallery at courtroom 2?
We actually have the mother who would like to speak on her behalf.
The mother of the victim?
The mother of the female in South Annex.
Oh, of the defendant. We will not be hearing from the mother at this time. I am sounding, however, for the victim or the alleged victim at this time. All right, hearing none, Mr. McLean, please proceed.
Your Honor, my client works for her uncle remotely because he has a mobile detailing company and he's in Seattle, Washington, but from Georgia, she's able to handle business matters and scheduling for her uncle. She wanted me to emphasize that it's not like it sounds like she was chasing to get into the vehicle and hit her. They had an argument. My client is maintaining her innocence. She says she was attacked and defending herself once they had the argument, once they were in the car. But the going to the car was like, we're not through talking. And then they sat down and talked. Unfortunately, things went badly after that. But my client says that this was defensive only and she is innocent. So we'd ask for a signature bond, Your Honor, based on the small history and the nature of this charge.
All right. At this time, defendant will receive a $1,500 surety bond, 1,000 count 1, 500 count 2. She's to have no contact with the alleged victim, last name Minera, and stay away from the address on Tara Boulevard. Moreover, she's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
I don't know the mother of my client. I didn't get a chance to talk to the mother of my client. I don't know if there's anything she wanted to add, but I think I covered the main point.
Not at a bond hearing at this time, Mr. McLean. All right, best of luck to you, Ms. Franklin. All right.
Your Honor, I apologize. This is Officer Milton. What was her bond amount again?
1,500, Officer Milton. Good to see you again. 1,000 count 1, 500 count 2.
Thank you.
Position 13, Russell.
Okay. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Russell. Your case is 23 CR 000-538B. In this case, you're charged with simple battery family violence with the offense date of January the 26th. Do you understand your rights?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Howard.
It's 10th arrest. He got an open drive without valid license, open possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under 18 years of age. That was out of DeKalb County. He also has history out of Illinois. So let me give you the last cycle. September, Chicago. It says aiding and abetting possession of stolen vehicle. May of last year, Chicago, domestic battery, assault DV, another domestic battery, and criminal damage to property DV.
Okay.
Hold on. 2020 trespass of vehicle. 2018, it just said issuance of a warrant. And 2017 burglary. Yeah, he was a juvie in 2017, so scratch that one. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred yesterday on January 26th. Officers responded to 1073 Hollywood Road and met with Miss Armony Bright. Her first name is spelled ARMONIE. Bright stated that she and Russell, who share a 1-month-old child together, were in an argument. Bright stated that she was attempting to call 911 when Russell began shoving her back and forth, grabbing her arm and her cell phone, leaving a slight bruise underneath her chin. Your Honor, I forgot to mention, we have filed alternate charges, one for battery, family violence, one for simple battery due to the nature of the injury. It was light bruising. We were able to speak with the victim this morning, who stated that she's in fear of the defendant and doesn't want any contact with him because this is not the first time something violent has happened between the two of them. The victim states that the defendant does have some belongings at the residence that he'll need to retrieve. And she'd like one-time law enforcement to help him escort him to the place and get his things. I believe she is on the call, but the state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, to stay away from 1073 Hollywood Road, and no further contact with Ms. Bright.
Question, you said that there should be 2 charges today?
These are alternate charges. We filed
Okay.
both because the injuries were slight.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm sounding for Ms. Bright. Ms. Bright, I see you on this conference. You are not required to speak, but if you would like to speak, you need to turn on your camera so that I can place you under oath. Do you wish to make a statement?
No.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bright. Mr. McLean?
Actually, this is my client, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Kim, please proceed.
No problem, Your Honor. Mr. Russell is actually 19 years old, and he's actually going to alternative school, high school senior. He's expected to graduate June 2023. He's a full-time student, and he resides in Illinois. He came to see the baby, and has been living with his baby mother, actually, Miss Bright. My client is completely okay with the stay away and no further contact with Harmony Bright. Only thing is though, Your Honor, he does not have much income since he is a full-time student. So he's qualified for our public defender services to continuously represent him. And Your Honor, he does have a learning disability, and he had gunshot 2 years ago. So he's having very difficulty to use his left leg because of the pain in his foot. So it's important for him to get out of the jail and get a proper medical attention. Your Honor, we would like to request for a signature on bond, and yet if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond because of history, we would like to request, actually, Your Honor, he cannot have a good bond or surety bond because he cannot go through the bail bond company. He prefers to have a maximum of $500 cash bond and stay away, no further contact, so he can take care of this case. And he's willing to stay at hotel, get help from his family members. His classes are all online classes right now, and he will be coming to the court. Thanks, Your Honor.
All right, defendant will receive a $500 cash bond. He's to have no contact with Ms. Bright and he's to stay away from the address on Hollywood Drive. He can return one time with a member of law enforcement to get any items. Additionally, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that cash bond. Is there anything further?
No, nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Judge Williams?
Yes,
So we did receive 2 acquisitions on that case, but we only one charge was filed on.
okay, so what needs to happen from here, Mr. Jordan?
So we have an acquisition for battery family violence, and we have an acquisition for simple battery family violence, which is what he was.
So do I
arrested
need to set bond for both just in case?
for. Yes, please.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll divide that in half. It'll be a $250 cash bond on each charge to make sure that there's nothing holding him into the jail.
And just for clarification, thank you. I apologize. This is Anna Allen, one of the supervisors over here in the SG's office. Ms. Lewis, your intention was to charge 2 charges or 1?
Just one. There's alternating charges depending on how the injury is viewed, but only one charge.
So
The
your
problem
intention
is, yeah, the problem is that if both are filed down, that one will still hold him in.
so there's
so-
only been 1 charge filed down, Mr. Jordan, correct?
No, so the only one charge was filed down in Odyssey. We received 2 acquisitions.
Right. So we can only move forward with 1 accusation.
So you want me to just return the battery acquisition?
Ms. Lewis, which one are we moving forward with?
We're gonna move forward with the simple battery.
Okay, so
Okay,
simple
understood.
battery, which I believe was pushing resulting in bruising. Or just pushing.
It was pushing.
Okay. Does that
All
make
right.
sense to you, Mr. Jordan?
That'll work.
Thank you so much. I apologize for the
Thank you.
interruption.
All right, and bond will remain as set at the 500 cash on the simple battery. All right, is there anything further?
You
Nothing
said
further.
500
Nothing
cash,
further, Your
Judge?
Honor.
It's 500 cash on simple battery.
All right, you got it. Position 7 and 8, Mathis.
All right, Mr. Mathis, you have 2 cases, 23 CR 0005332 G. In that case, you're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of September the 2nd of 2020. In the second case, 23 CR 0000534 G, you're charged with battery family violence as well. But that offense date is July the 8th of 2019. Do you understand your rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have that history, please?
7 total. He was arrested on the 25th of this month for suspended license. He went to the city jail for that. 2018 simple battery DV conviction. That's 18 CR 008-460G. 2017 felony theft by taking conviction. Based on the timing, he would still be on probation for that. I'm not sure. 2016 theft by receiving. Possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. 2016 theft by receiving, he got first offender. Carrying weapon without a valid license, misdemeanor obstruction conviction. 2012. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. I will be presenting both the facts for both cases because it's a occurrence.
Okay.
The first incident occurred on July 18, 2019 at 2887 Eleanor Terrace. Officers responded to this location and spoke with Natasha Jordan. Jordan and Mathis are in a relationship together and share a child. Jordan stated that Mathis punched her in the face several times and pushed her down face first on the concrete, causing bruising and abrasions to her face. At that time, a warrant was issued for Mathis's arrest, Later on September 2nd of 2020, officers responded once again to a domestic dispute call, this time at 3390 Fairburn Road, and met with Ms. Jordan again. Jordan stated that she and Mathis were in a verbal altercation which turned physical when Mathis slapped her, causing her to fall to the ground. Mathis continued hitting her on her shoulder and back, leaving marks that were observed by the officers. Mathis fled the scene before officers arrived. Your Honor, this defendant has a history of domestic violence towards women and specifically this victim, and had an existing warrant out for his arrest when he beat up Miss Jordan once again. For these reasons, the state is recommending a $5,000 total cash bond. That's $2,500 cash bond for each different case. No further contact with Miss Jordan, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and 1 day anger awareness. Nothing further.
Are you requesting stayaways from both of those addresses?
We weren't able to speak with Miss Jordan, so I'm not sure where her actual location is right now. So we're recommending stay away from wherever Miss Jordan resides.
All right. Ms. Jordan, if you're present on this Zoom conference and wish to make a statement, this is your opportunity to do so. Do you wish to make a statement, Ms. Jordan, if you're here? All right, hearing none, Ms. McLeod, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
My client is 27 years old. He is a native of Atlanta and the father of 2 young children, a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old. He tells me that he also had a 2-year-old son who died on the very same day he was arrested. My client denies that the incident happened the way the prosecution has stated. I would like to point out to the court that these 2 incidents apparently happened, one in 2019 and one in 2020. My client tells me that they are no longer in a relationship and they don't live together, Your Honor. I would ask the court, based on the fact that this happened a long time ago, my client really has not been in any trouble since. Yes, he was arrested, but that was a suspended license. He has not been in any trouble. He tells me that he is now at Atlanta Metropolitan College studying engineering. He doesn't have any money because he's now a full-time student, Your Honor, to post a bond. I would ask the court to give him a signature bond so he can get out of jail. He has no issue with having no contact with the alleged victim, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Defendant will receive a $5,000 total surety bond. It'll be $2,500 for each case. He's to have no contact with the alleged victim, last name Jordan, and he's also to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Yes, Your Honor. I was asking the court based on humanitarian grounds because he told me that he just lost his son and he has to deal with that, the death of his son, and making arrangements for his funeral. And he also mentioned that his mother is also recently died and was to be buried this weekend. So if he's locked up, he will not be able to attend to either of these things, Your Honor. And considering that this one is alleged to have happened in 2019, one in 2020, we're talking about 3 and 4 years ago, and there has been no kind of issues between them since then, and they're no longer in a relationship.
Your Honor, if I might interject, the delay in arrest shouldn't be a factor in this situation. Domestic violence victims who report being assaulted and their abusers flee before police arrive, there are often warrants issued, and for no reason attributable to whether or not there was an actual assault or anything related to the victim or history of this relationship. This defendant just hasn't been arrested since 2019 or 2018. That doesn't have anything to do with the merits of this case or whether he should get a bond.
All right, I'll lower it slightly. I'll lower it slightly. For case ending in 5322G, defendant will receive a $2,000 surety bond. For the case ending in 534G, he'll receive a $1,500 surety bond for a total of a $3,500 surety bond. All right. I understand you want to say something, Mr. Mathis. The best thing for you to do is speak to Ms. McLeod regarding my ruling today. All right. All right, best of luck to you, sir. And I do understand. Okay, what would you like to tell me? But I don't want you to say too much. The state is listening and can add additional charges.
Okay, I had the fleeing, I never.
Okay, no.
Okay,
You're about to start talking about your case.
No, man. I have I had a warrant issued to me at my house pertaining to court about the case, and I went, and she never came to court. So when I went to court, they dismissed my case and said that she wasn't eligible for the official warrant because she didn't show up. So I went to court. I went specifically to court, and I went and fought the case, and she never showed up to court. I was there myself and she never showed up. So the judge had dropped the case. I have my paperwork on it, and it's at the house, and I don't have nobody, Judge. I don't have nobody to bond out. I had to bury my mother tomorrow. I don't even know where my kids is right now. And me and Natasha Jordan doesn't even talk. I don't have no way of paying no bond. I don't. And I'm in school. I want to be able to at least bury my mother tomorrow. I mean, I can do anything after this, but I promise you, Judge, I have not put my hands on her. I mean, I got
Okay. We will keep the bond. I'm going to take all this under advisement for a moment. All right, Mr. Mathis, we may revisit your case at the end of the calendar. For now, bond will remain as I just explained. Ms. McLeod, do you have other cases, or will this be the
I
end?
do, Your Honor. I have.
Okay, we may revisit this. But for now, bond will remain as set. All right.
Come back to your case.
All right. So please take Mr. Mathis to the back momentarily. All right. Who do we have next?
Position 12, Rami.
All right, Mr. Ramming, your case is 23 CR 0005378. You're charged with criminal trespass and damage to property with the offense date of January the 26th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have these three?
You got 19 total out of Michigan, South Carolina, Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, and Texas.
Okay.
I'll start in South Carolina.
Okay.
2017 child support. Another 2017 unlawful carry of a weapon conviction. 2010 assault and battery second degree. 03 assault and battery. 02. Michigan 2015. It says traffic offense. 2014 assault excluding sexual. 2014 assault excluding sexual. Kentucky 2022 robbery in the first degree. The disposition just says grand jury. That's it. Ohio last arrest, that was in 08, carrying concealed weapon, illegal use of food stamp.
Okay.
Let's see where we can go. Got one out of Virginia from 2018, assault and battery on law enforcement. That was a conviction. That was a felony. Last arrest in Texas, 2009, theft of property conviction.
Okay, these sound remote. We'll go to, thank you, Ms. Howard. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred January 26th at 1177 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard Northwest, apartment B26. Officers responded to this location and spoke with Infinite Raming. Raming stated that Mr. Jonathan Raming came over demanding entry into the apartment. When Infinite refused to open the door, the defendant began kicking the front door of the residence. The defendant kicked the door out of the frame from the apartment. Ebony Johnson, who also resides there, was also home and witnessed the defendant kicking the door out of the frame. Your Honor, this defendant already has a $5,000 surety bond, but the state is actually recommending a $500 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, to stay away from this location, and 1 day of anger awareness. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. McLeod, is this your case?
It is, Your Honor.
All right, please
My
proceed.
client is 38 years old, Your Honor. He has been living in Atlanta recently. He tells me that he was living with his brother they just got into a disagreement, which resulted in his brother alleging that he broke down his door. But that's not exactly what happened, Your Honor. According to my client, they were just having a dispute, him and his brother. He doesn't have any money to pay bond, Your Honor. I do acknowledge that he does have some history, but this is just a minor dispute with him and his brother. I would ask the court to consider giving my client a signature bond, because even though the court has reduced his bond to a $500 cash bond, he still is not in a position to post bond, because other than his brother, who is the complaining witness, he doesn't have anyone here in the Metro Atlanta, and he doesn't really have any funds, Your Honor.
All right, I didn't sound for his brother. If Mr. Raming is on this Zoom conference and wishes to be heard. All right, hearing none. I'm sorry, Ms. McLeod, did I cut you off?
No, Your Honor.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive a $5,000 signature bond through the jail per judge. Was the state requesting, I'm sorry, not through the jail, through pretrial per judge. Was the state requesting a stay away
Yes, Your Honor.
and a no further contact?
Yes, Your Honor. Oh,
He
no,
lives
no.
in South Carolina.
Oh, he's a resident of South Carolina, so it would have to go through the jail. All right. I don't like that. There's no way to take that one, Mr. Howard?
It's up to you, but he got all them arrests in every other state, so, and he don't live here, so I don't know how well he.
Well, my understanding, he lives here. He was arrested here. He tells me he works at Little Caesars.
Okay, so
Yeah.
per my ruling, it's gonna go through pretrial. I know that you all don't like out-of-state residents, but the allegation, Mr. Howard, is that he lives here, so it'll be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services per judge. He's to take the 1-day anger awareness course, have no contact with his brother, and stay away from that address on Joseph E. Boone. Is there anything further?
Nothing further.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Position 6, Harris.
All right, Mr. Harris, your case is 23 CR 0000531F. Defendant is charged in this case with 1 count of battery family violence, 1 count of cruelty to children, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4 counts of cruelty to children in the third, each with the offense date of October the 27th. You understand your rights?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Howard.
Who's this, Terry Harris?
Yes.
16 total. Last arrest was 2021. Simple assault trespass. 2020 battery DV. 2019 probation violation. Came off of an ag assault. 2019 battery DV, cruelty in the third. It just says transferred to the DA's office in DeKalb. 2019 simple battery DV, trespass conviction, DeKalb County. 2017 probation. 2017 simple battery DV, cruelty in the third, disorderly conduct. It was a bindo by the East Point. I didn't look up the disposition. 2017 cruelty in the third, battery DV.
Quite a few of those. How many more of those do you see, Mr. Howard? Is that the last one?
I mean, nope. He got first offender for ag assault and criminal trespass, 2015, and he was arrested twice in 2013 for simple battery.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Rogers?
Yes, Your Honor. On October the 27th of 2022, Ms. Tequila Harris, who is the reporting victim, reported to police that she was assaulted by her husband, Mr. Terry Harris, at 891 Rock Street in Northwest Atlanta. She reported that this is not the first time he's abused her. It has been prior abuse. He arrived at the location to pick up their 2 daughters. Ms. Harris advised that he began accusing her of cheating on him, and he refused to leave. She told him to get out, and he turned around and grabbed her by the neck and pinned her against the wall, telling her to stop playing with him. As she tried to get him off of her, she broke 5 fingernails off her hand, which resulted in bleeding and visible injury. He then grabbed her by her hair and drug her into the hallway, where then her son attempted to get Mr. Harris off of her, at which time she was able to break free and run into the back of the apartment and lock the door. All 4 children were at the home at that time, ages 3, 10, 14, and 7. Mr. Harris has an arraignment in DeKalb County for aggravated assault scheduled for April the 20th of 2023. It arises out of an incident that took place March the 8th of 2019, where Ms. Harris and Summer Harris are the victims in that case also. He has 2 open matters in Fulton County for family violence against Ms. Harris. He had a $5,000 cash bond with the conditions to stay away from Ms. Harris and no further contact with Ms. Harris, which he indeed violate with this arrest. The state is asking, due to the history, due to it being the same complaining witness, and the disregard for even children being present, the state is asking for a $14,000 cash bond, $10,000 on the battery, family violence, and $1,000 on each count of the cruelty to children, stay away order, and a no further contact with the victim or the children. The complainant witness, Ms. Tequila Harris, she did state that she will be on Zoom today, so we could sound for her. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, I'm sounding for Ms. Harris. Ms. Harris, if you're present on this Zoom conference and wish to be heard, this is your opportunity to do so. Ms. Harris is not present, so we'll go to you, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Mr. Terry Harris, is 28 years old. He is the father of two children, an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old. He shares these two children with the complaining witness, to whom he has been married for approximately 8 years. Your Honor, my client denies that he has had any contact with the complaining witness for well over a year. He told me that he lives with his grandmother, and I was able to corroborate that when I called and spoke with grandma and spoke with his brother as well. His brother tells me that on the occasion when the warrant alleges that particular day, he knew that his brother was actually, and the warrant says it was at 2 a.m., Your Honor. He said that they were both at home sleeping at the time, and that it would have been impossible for his brother to have been over there. My client denies that he's even seen Miss Harris for some time. He said that what has happened was that he tried to get a TPO against her. In fact, he was granted a TPO, he tells me. I have the number for the TPO, Your Honor, which I'm going to give to the court against Miss Harris, and the TPO number that I have is 2023 CV 374969, which was granted by Judge Houston, because the complaining witness apparently has been calling, making threats, and among her threats was that she was going to get him arrested, and he believes that was why she made up the story, but he denies that he was even there, and the court will note from the warrant and nothing was said about him. I know that the warrant says that she had broken nails, so it's easy for people to break their own nails, especially when they are determined to make a story up, Your Honor. But nothing is said about him or any indication that he was actually there other than she had broken nails. My client is definitely not in a position to post a $14,000 cash bond, Your Honor. That kind of bond essentially says he's just going to sit in jail. He has nowhere near that kind of money, would be unable to post a $14,000 good bond, never mind a $14,000 cash bond. I believe that there is some merit to what he's saying, Your Honor. And the fact is, he did apply for a temporary restraining order before he was arrested. And apparently there is a record of that. So there may be something to what he's saying. Obviously, they've had a very volatile relationship, and he also told me that he has filed for divorce, and that is maybe part of what is motivating all of this. So I would ask the court to give my client a reasonable bond so he can get out of jail. He tells me that he's been working for the past 5 years in the same job as a forklift operator, and he does have 2 small children that he has to support. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant will receive a $10,000 surety bond, broke down $6,000 count 1 and $1,000 on each remaining count of cruelty. He is to have no contact with Ms. Harris, and he is to stay away from the incident location, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing further. Mr. Harris? Unless this is in relation to your bond, my advice to you would be not to say anything. If you have questions, you can give me a call. You can ask the jail for my number and you can call me.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Position 11, Lumen.
And Your Honor, that concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Ms. McLeod, will you hold one
Oh,
moment?
yes,
for
that's
me?
right. We were going
Yes,
to.
yes, we're gonna discuss that. If you don't mind holding and
Not
indulging
at
the
all,
court
Your
just a
Honor. I'll
little
be
bit.
happy to do that.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Mumin, your case is 23 CR 000-536E. You're charged with 1 count of battery family violence with the offense date of January the 26th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have the history, please?
Let's see. One cycle out of Nevada, that was from the 90s, kidnapping. I see a cycle out of the state of Washington. That was the early 2000s assault. 2009 cycle out of Florida for vehicle theft. That was dismissed. This is first Georgia arrest. He's a resident of Tarpon Springs, Florida. So I guess they are remote, as you would say.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on January 26th. Officers responded to 1620 Carroll Drive and spoke with Ms. Kendall Bailey, who shares a child with the defendant. Bailey stated that the defendant punched her in the face, grabbed her by the neck, and threw her into a wall. Officers observed blood on Bailey's nose and a scratch on her neck. Your Honor, we were able to speak with Ms. Bailey this morning, who is on the call and would like to speak. She states that her and the defendant were married, but they got divorced in 2011. They do not live together. She states that she and the defendant began arguing, and the defendant ran towards her and grabbed her by the neck with both of his hands and began slamming her into the wall multiple times. Ms. Bailey stated that the defendant was squeezing her neck while doing so, and she couldn't breathe and lost consciousness. Your Honor, Ms. Bailey is terrified of this defendant and intends to file a TPO. She wants no further contact with him. She does not want him to have any contact with her child. She has full legal custody of their son. And yes, for this reason, Your Honor, the state is recommending a $5,000 cash bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. So stay away from the address. And I believe I gave you an incorrect address. My apologies. The address is 1215 Hadley Drive, which I believe is where Ms. Bailey resides. No further contact with Ms. Bailey or her child, and 1 day anger awareness. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, and I'm sorry, the child was alleged to be his child as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right, I'm gonna sound for Ms. Bailey at this time. If Ms. Bailey is present and wishes to make a statement.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Bailey, if you'd like to make a statement, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. What would you like to tell the court at this time?
This is not the first time that Mr. Mummin have used strangulation violence toward me. He goes under other names, so that's probably why it didn't come up in the system. He strangled me in Nevada in 2002, the same way, where I lost consciousness multiple times. He did it again in California, where I lost consciousness multiple times in 2009. And he just did it again yesterday. Where now I haven't eaten anything like anything. I'm going to go to the hospital to make sure that I don't have a concussion. And it's a pattern that Mr. Mummin also goes by Eric and Hassan. So I've called the police and they took record of it in California under Hassan Mummin. So this is not the first incident. He also made a threat that he was going to have somebody else cause harm to me that lives in my neighborhood. He does not live in Georgia, and I am afraid that he is going to flee and not return, and that he is going to stalk me, and he's going to finish what he tried to do yesterday. So I can't get a protective order because I don't know an address to give you guys. And that leaves me and my two children
vulnerable to this man. He popped up in the neighborhood where he saw my son out of nowhere. So, you know, this is a situation that it's happened before, but in other states. And it's on record with them. And I'm gonna get that information to the DA so that she can see what the other judges, you know, have on file on this man.
Thank you. I appreciate you making the statement in court here today, Ms. Bailey.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right, Mr. McLean, please proceed.
He denies what has just been said, Your Honor, and maintains his innocence. He would like to ask for a signature bond considering the nature of the offense. And he does work. He has a property in Florida. There won't be any problem with a stay away. The Carroll Drive location is, I believe, not something that he has to be around, or I think that may have been her friends or something like that. But I'm not sure. The address is Tall Oak Trail in Tarpon Springs, Florida, and he would be far, far away. So he would ask for a signature bond or a bond no more than $1,500 to $2,000 good bond or surety bond, Your Honor. Their 17-year-old child is a child in common. That child is almost grown.
All right.
He's been working with the Universal Technical Institute. He recruits for them in getting students to take technical courses if they wish to follow that vocationally. And he's also associated with charities.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant will receive a $3,000 cash bond. He's to have no contact with Miss Bailey whatsoever, or the children or her children. He is to further have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and he is to stay away from the address previously given by the state or any other address where Miss Bailey may reside. Is there anything further?
Nothing.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, sir, and best of luck to you too, Miss Bailey.
Thank you, ma'am.
That concludes this case. Who do we have next?
Position 5, Gray.
Sean Gray.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Gray. Your case is 23 CR 0000539F. In this case, you're charged with battery with the offense date of January the 26th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
10th arrest. He got a 2009 out of North Carolina for drugs. As far as Georgia, last arrest was back in March. Suspended registration. Driving without a valid license, possession of drug-related objects, selling marijuana. Those are dismissed. 2013 suspended license conviction. 09 probation. Selling marijuana conviction. 08. That wasn't suspended registration. That was false statements pertaining to motor vehicle insurance.
Okay. Nothing violent?
I mean, not in recent years.
Okay. That's sufficient. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Mr. Rogers?
Yes, Your Honor. On January the 26th of 2023, officers were dispatched regarding a fight in progress at 762 Phaser Street Southeast. When they arrived, they met with Tiffany Bird, B-Y-R-D, first name Tiffany, common spelling. And she stated that her and her boyfriend, Mr. Sean Gray, were sitting on the couch having alcoholic beverages. And she said something that he did not like. And he struck her with a closed fist and knocked her to the ground. He then proceeded to get on top of Miss Gray and kept punching her. In doing this, he caused a laceration and her jaw to be swollen. She was able to escape from Mr. Gray and lock herself in the bathroom, and she called 911. Her 10-year-old son was in the other room when this incident was happening. We are asking for a $3,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, a stay away order from that address, and a 1-day anger awareness class, Your Honor, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on a bond.
All right, thank you, Mr. McLean. Oh, I'm sorry, let me sound for Ms. Byrd. Ms. Byrd, if you're present on the Zoom conference and wish to be heard, this is the opportunity to do so. All right, hearing none, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, my client is 51 years old and drives a forklift, but unfortunately, there's a layoff period going on right now temporarily, hopefully, at the large warehouse where he does drive a forklift. So he's been looking for other work in the interim period. He hopes to get back there soon, but there's really no word. He probably, because of this, will qualify for the use of the public defender even in the future. Your Honor, it was noted in the police report very specifically that both people were intoxicated. The statement of her it actually says, quote, from the affidavit, quote, her injuries showed Mr. Gray was the primary aggressor, unquote. I don't think injuries can show who's the primary aggressor. Your Honor, I would ask for the court to consider a signature bond or no more than $1,000 surety bond.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant will receive a $2,000 surety bond. He's to have no contact with Ms. Byrd, stay away from the address on Fraser Street, and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Gray. Who do we have next?
Position 3, Cato.
That's Mr. Darren Cato, right?
Yes, sir.
It is. It is. Mr. Cato, your case is 23 CR 000-529E. In this case, you're charged with simple battery family violence with the offense date of September the 15th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Howard, can I have his history, please?
This 8th arrest, last arrest was January 2022. Sale of marijuana, that's open out of Coweta County. 2017 suspended license conviction. Obstruction misdemeanor conviction 2016. A fray conviction from 2015. Yeah, and a disorderly conduct conviction from 2010. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rogers?
Yes, on September the 16th of 2022, officers arrived to 370 Northside Drive, apartment 1112, in regards to a domestic disturbance. They made contact with Antonia Strozer, first name Antonia, last name Strozier. She stated that her boyfriend and father to her two children, Mr. Darren Cato, slammed her to the floor, causing injuries to her knee, the right side of her ribs, and her lip after she told him that she was breaking up with him. When he did this, she was able to retreat to the bathroom and she called the police. When Mr. Cato realized that she was calling the police, he fled the scene. When police arrived, Ms. Strozer did positively identify Mr. Cato at the scene via a photo that the officers presented to her. We're asking for a $2,500 surety bond and no further violent contact with the victim. She did state she will be on Zoom today, Your Honor.
All right, I'm sounding for Ms. Strozer. Ms. Strozer, if you're present and would like to make a statement, this is your opportunity to speak. All right, hearing none, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, this happened, or whatever happened in mid-September, and mid-October, there was a call made. So I emphasize the randomness of the day, October the 13th. It's not like there was any planning or subterfuge that could go on, because that's just a date when the police are following up, wanting to get some photographs of some visible injuries if possible. And at that time, it was stated that the victim was uncooperative, stating that she wanted to drop the charges, still in a relationship. Then they said, "Are you alone?" She said no, so they stopped the conversation. I understand why they stopped the conversation, but it sounds like a month later, it may be true that they're still in a relationship. 7-year relationship, 2 children, simple battery, family violence, 1 count. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond, Your Honor. He works as a Foot Locker associate and has been there for a couple of months. He's 30 years old. This arrest probably has lost that job for him, and he'll have to look for another. So I think he'll probably qualify for the public defender after this. He could stay with his grandmother if the court would like him to stay away from her. She lives at 43 Hill Street in Noonan, Georgia, which is the address listed on his booking sheet, and it's no problem if there's a stay away.
All right, I see someone at the
Excuse me, Ms.
screen.
Judge, I have a,
Yes, I'm about to address you now. Are you Ms. Strozier?
okay,
Are you
I
Ms.
am Ms.
Strozier?
Strozier.
All right, if you'd like to make a statement, please raise your right
Yes, I
hand.
am Ms. Strozier.
Okay. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, what would you like to tell the court at this time?
Yes, I understand that this incident has happened and I have contacted the DA to drop the charges against Mr. Cato. We are currently in a relationship and engaged, and I would like him to be around his kids and me. This was the first incident that has happened between Mr. Cato and I. It was over bills and moving, but we have settled that. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. At this time, defendant will receive a $2,500 surety bond. He's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim in this case and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Judge, what was
Thank
the
you, ma'am.
bond? What was the bond again?
2,500.
The bond,
Good bond, yes.
position 15, Torres.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Torres. Your case is 23 CR 000-541E. You're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of June the 20th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have that history, please?
This is 8th arrest. Last arrest was 2018. Trespass, theft by taking, those are non-pros. 2018 failure to appear for disorderly conduct, simple battery against police and obstruction. 2016 probation, trespass. 2016 theft by taking dismissed. 2016 trespass conviction and 2015 disorderly conduct conviction. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kim.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. On June 20 of 2022, officers responded to a weapons dispute call to 117 Scott Street, Northwest Atlanta, Georgia. And the defendant and the victim, Miss Jarice Odom, that's Jassaree, last name Odom, Odom, who they share a child together, and they all went to a pool party that day for Father's Day. When they returned home, the defendant and Miss Odom began drinking together at night at the house, and Miss Odom told the defendant that she was going to start heading home and started looking for her son's drumsticks while moving the covers that were on the floor onto the bed and moving stuff around. Miss Odom stated that the defendant started verbally arguing with her, getting angry, to which then he lunged at her, started choking her around the neck to the point where she couldn't breathe, all while her son was watching. She also stated that the defendant put his elbow onto the side of her neck while continuing to choke her and pull her hair and even pulled her wig off. She stated that when she finally got him off, they ended up outside. And when she told the defendant she was going to call the police, but instead called her friend, he grabbed her phone and threw it in the yard. And when she went to go retrieve her phone, she stated that the defendant came out while grabbing his gun, saying, "I'm going to air this bitch out." And the victim stated that this is when her friend pulled up and they were able to leave. Your Honor, the defendant has an open case in Fulton. He's a multi-state offender. He shows a flight risk and a high risk to reoffend. The facts of this case are very serious, and for these reasons, specifically the fact that this was a violent case involving a gun, the state is requesting a $20,000 bond, surety bond, no further contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, a third-party transfer for the child, 1 day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
All right, I'm going to sound for Ms. Odom at this time. If you're on the Zoom conference and wish to be heard. All right, hearing none. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 32 years old. Your Honor, this happened on June 20, 2022, almost 7 months ago. And his last history is 2018, which is very remote. My client has been gainfully employed at M&N Waste as a manager. He's been working there. He graduated from high school. He has 1 semester of college. And besides, he has been paying child support every month automatically from that his company, Your Honor. This incident that he was not involved, he denies the allegation, and this is false accusation that Ms. Autumn is having. This would jeopardize his life, his job, his ability to pay child support for their child, mutual child, who is 5 years old right now. And Miss Autumn and my client, actually, they do not live together. They don't date together. They don't have any relationships. My client is completely okay with no further contact, stay away, as long as he has a third-party child visitation. He does not have any relationship with him. That's what he says. There was no relationship. Your Honor, we would like to request for signature on bond. If Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we would like to request for maximum $1,000 good bond. Thank you.
All right, defendant will receive a $7,500 surety bond. He's to have no contact with Ms. Odom and stay away from the address on Scott Street. He's also to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. He can arrange to see his children by contacting a third party.
Your Honor, yes, Your Honor, I do not want to interrupt, but it's very important that 117 Scott Street is actually my client's place. He and his roommate are renting a place. Miss Autumn does not reside there at all.
He can return one time with law enforcement to ascertain whether or not she's there. If not, he can return. If she's not there, he can return and reside there. If she is there, he must stay away. Before we do that, Ms. Kim, are you alleging that there's another stay away address? Ms. Christine Kim, let me clarify that. Does the state have a different stay away address?
I would have to get back with you on that, Your Honor. I don't see. one at
Okay,
the
well,
moment.
the one time at law enforcement escort will clarify that point. Mr. Torres, I know you have a question. The best thing for you to do is give Ms. Kim a call. The state is listening and watching.
Hey, I mean, that's fine, but like
Mr.
all the
Torres,
allegations,
please stay silent. You have that's your constitutional right.
but she doesn't live at the address at all. And she did come to visit, but she doesn't live there. And all the allegations as far as a gun and all this other stuff.
Okay, no. Don't say anything about the facts of the case. Bond, the order will should permit you to return to your home. We're just gonna have the police make one-time escort to ascertain that fact. All right.
How does that work? Like, how does that
All
work?
right, speak to Ms. Kim. All right. Anything further from either of Ms. Kim or Ms. Kim?
No, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. What do we have next?
Position 1, Brown.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Brown. Your case is 23 CR 0005278H. You're charged with 1 count of terroristic threats, 1 count of willful obstruction, and 1 count of disorderly conduct, each with the offense date of January 26th. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
Fourth arrest. Last was June 2021. Possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission, sale of marijuana. It's 21 CP 200-551. So 2019 theft of services, aggravated assault. The ag assault was amended. Simple assault conviction. 2015 theft by receiving stolen property. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rogers?
Yes, on January the 26th of 2023, in the area of 680 Lee Street, Southwest, Mr. Jonathan Brown was exiting a MARTA bus when he threatened to slap the shit out of the bus operator, Winston Douglas. He punched the plexiglass window that Mr. Douglas was sitting behind. And when he exited the bus, an officer attempted to arrest Mr. Brown, and he stated he wasn't going to jail, and he attempted to run away from the officer. The state is requesting a $1,500 good bond, $500 for each count, and a 1-day anger awareness, and the stay away order from that victim and that martyr bus line, basically, Your Honor.
From the bus line, Mr. Rogers?
From the MARTA bus services.
From MARTA in its entirety.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does he have a suspension? Are you aware?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, before I say anything demographic about him, I'd like, it makes me want to point out two things about the facts, what we just heard, and what I've seen in the 3 citations and in the 3 affidavits for arrest. There were 2 acts here. One is a verbal act of saying the statement of what he would do or what he should do or what he will do, something like that. And we heard what the statement was. And the other part was punching the plexiglass. The bus driver was not hit. The plexiglass was hit. It makes a noise. It's kind of scary, but these 2 acts were done while leaving the bus. So that gives us the knowledge that he wasn't going to slap him. He had done everything he was going to do, if this is true. So he was leaving the bus. It wasn't very nice. There are 3 charges that have come out of these 2 acts, one with the hand and one with the mouth. So disorderly conduct, terroristic threats and acts, misdemeanor level, and both the terroristic threats and acts misdemeanor level and disorderly conduct are based on the joint action of the hitting the plexiglass, making a noise with it, and stating the statement. The running is itself, of course, a separate charge. So I think that the disorderly conduct and terroristic threats and acts 2 charges are identical. I would ask the state to consider going with 1. Disorderly conduct, of course, would be preferable. It sounds not as bad. We were getting into demographics. He's, let's see, 23 years old. He lives alone. He's stated as you see in Odyssey, full-time student at the Promise or the Promise. Turn to that on Odyssey, Promise Center. And Your Honor, he has had some employment with Sears in the pool division. It's seasonal. When the weather's warm and people want their pools taken care of, he works with Sears Pool, and that's 40 hours a week. But that's not even quite half a year here in Atlanta. So in the meantime, he's trying to help sell phone services through Cricket. His arrest history is not as bad as some I've heard, so I would like to ask the court to consider a signature bond. I would like the court to consider no more than $1,000 good bond if it's to be a good bond.
All right. At this time, defendant received $1,000 good bond, broken down $250, count 1, $250, count 2, and $500, count 3. He's to have no further contact with the alleged victim in this case. I am not going to order that he stay away from MARTA at this time. However, if there are any MARTA suspensions that arise, he must comply with all of those. And he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brown, I know you have a question. The best thing to do is to call Mr. McLean because I don't want you to infringe upon your constitutional right to remain silent. Do you have a question about the bond?
Speak up.
Yes.
What's your question? If I feel that your question is going to infringe upon your rights, I'm gonna we won't continue that line of discussion. What's your question?
No question. It's a statement, ma'am.
Well, we don't need a statement. We need a question about the bond.
All right. The question is, because my wallet is still in police custody, I was wondering if it would be a way that I would be able to still
get a signature bond out and pay it afterwards because I don't have any contacts with my family. I actually had to contact a stranger to see if he could get in touch with one of my cousins through Instagram. So it's been pretty hard and I'm pretty much on my own, like handling things. And I'm actually supposed to be getting evicted today. And the reason why I ended up so angry in the situation was because I was supposed to actually be getting a mental health evaluation that day.
Okay, I don't want you to say that. That's too much, okay? The state is listening. I don't want those things to be taken into consideration. It's $1,000 surety bond. Mrs. McLean should be able to assist you with figuring that part out. All right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Brown. Please give your attorney a call. Who do we have next?
Judge, going back to position 7 and 8, Mathis.
Are we complete otherwise?
Yes, we're completed, Judge. Come on,
All
Ms.
right, Mr. Howard, I apologize to you. Please give me 7 and 8's history again.
With number 9. I missed them.
I'm sure there's an announcement, medical reset, or won't be brought today if they're telling us complete. What was the, can you give me the history for 7 and 8, please?
I gotta pull it. Hold on.
And I'm aware the state is requesting cash bonds. Ms. McLeod is requesting signature bonds in light of exigent circumstances. And I'm sorry, Mr. Jordan, what did I set the bonds at?
3,500, goodbye.
3,500, good. Okay.
All right, 7 total. All right. He's on probation and card for theft. He got a conviction 2018 simple battery DV. Carrying weapon without valid license, obstruction convictions. Theft by receiving. He got first offender for that in 2016.
That was it?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, that was it.
And while Mr. Howard's looking, Ms. McLeod, do you have
I'm done. I'm done.
Oh, you're done, Ms. McLeod. Do you have any proof of a funeral taking place tomorrow?
I don't, Your Honor, because he wasn't able to provide it to me because he was locked up.
So all we have is the defendant's word.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll allow him to sign his bond for position number 8. Position 2 will remain as a surety bond of $2,000. All right, so I will convert position 8 to a $1,500 surety bond, signature bond through the jail. I'm sorry, let's make it let's make it, yeah, that's correct. Position 8 will be converted to a signature. He needs to make bond on position 7. All right?
Please.
Mr. Mathis, I've already heard your position here.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I understand the state's position on all of this, but again, the allegations are that this happened in 2019 and 2020. It's a long time ago. There hasn't been any contact between either of them. I can't imagine why we would lie about the fact that his mother is dead and is having a funeral tomorrow, or also that his child has died. I can't imagine why he would lie about things that are provable as lies.
I promise you, I have proof, Judge. I don't have nobody out here.
Okay, Ms. Mathis, stop talking. I understand. I hear your position, and I'm trying to come up with something. I don't by any means want him to miss his mother's funeral. However, these are very serious allegations, and he does have some history here, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor, but this is remote. These allegations are from 4 and 5 years ago, and there has not been any newer complaints. He does state that he's not in contact with the complaining witness anymore. He's in school. He's trying to do.
I understand all of that. I do.
And to miss his mother's funeral because of a misdemeanor allegation. He hasn't been found guilty yet, Your Honor. I think that's a bit much. And it's just
Is there an obituary? What's mom's name? Is it local?
Right.
Let's Google it.
We need some.
Well, let us ask if his mom's name.
I can get it. I promise you guys, I can get it. What's
your mother's
What is your mother's name? They're asking.
Betty Pitt.
Huh?
Betty Pitt.
How do you spell it?
P-I-C-K? B-T-T-Y-P-I-T-T-A. I can have proof of it. I can show it everything. We don't have nobody, Judge. It's just me and my kids.
Mr. Mathis, we know, we've heard this.
Oh.
We're trying to come up with something. Please remain silent. All right?
Cause that's y'all work with.
Mr. Matthews,
Yeah.
All right, can I be put in a breakout with Miss Lewis, Miss Allen, and Miss McLeod, please? Very briefly. We're not gonna belabor this.
Mr. Mathis. Judge wants the spelling of your mother's name and also your son's name.
Betty.
Yes.
Picken.
Picken?
CKS.
I'm sorry, please spell it again.
Picks.
Pickx?
S.
Picks.
Yes, ma'am.
Betty?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your son's name?
Makai.
Spell
Mahki.
Mahki. Last name?
Matthews. Matthews.
And where did he die?
Where does it? It's somewhere in Gwinnett where my baby mother stays.
Okay, Mackay Matthews and Betty Picks. Okay. Okay, can I be put back into the breakout room?
You should see something at the bottom of your screen that allow you to go back in there.
I'm sorry, do what?
At the bottom of your screen, click on where it says breakout rooms.
Oh, okay.
And then hit join.
Okay.
All right, based upon the information before me, for position 7, defendant will receive a $2,000 surety bond with the conditions as previously discussed. We're going to allow him to sign his own bond. For position 8, it'll be a $1,500 surety bond, signature bond through pretrial services with the same conditions. Is there anything further from either the state or the defense at this point?
That'll be per judge.
Per judge.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Mathis.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right.
Did you make 8 for, pretrial or jail?
It's pretrial now. It's pretrial.
One get my other one. I got.
What's pretrial number 7?
The other.
8.
Position 8.
So 8 went from being from the jail to pretrial.
It did.
Oh, the
Thank
second,
you.
the second one is pretrial instead of the jail. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then the first one is 2,000 good bond.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. We're completed here in courtroom 2, Judge. Thank you.
All right. And I'm sorry. What was the announcement for position 9?
For position 9, they waived their appearance.
Okay. So we still need to do position 9. All right. Okay. Take care at courtroom 2. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Case 23 CR 000533A. The case of Curtis McKinstry. He's charged with what is he charged with? Willful obstruction, 2 counts with the offense date of January the 25th. Mr. Howard, can I have that history?
6 total. Last arrest was back in February for suspended license, no low. 2019 probation, 2019 disorderly conduct conviction, 2018 probation, 2017 DUI conviction. He's on probation for the suspended license.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on January 22nd at 7 Old Holcomb Bridgeway, in Roswell. Officers responded to this location on a fight call. When the officers arrived, there were several people in the hallway of this apartment, but they encountered Mr. McKinstry, who was standing in the hallway, and he had on a half-torn cloth material over his face and kept repeating the words, "I'm the one." There was another woman in the doorway saying that she had just stabbed someone and that McKinstry was not the person who did the stabbing. McKinstry was blocking the officer's path inside the apartment to see what really happened and was instructed to step back 3 times by each officer, to which he refused. The officers then told McKinstry that he would be detained, and when Officer Hogan grabbed his arm, McKinstry tensed up and then brought his arms back to the front of his body. As Officer Powles regained control of his arm, Officer Hogan started a leg sweep and pushed McKinstry forward, which resulted in McKinstry landing on his knees. And at this time, the officers were able to detain Mr. McKinstry. Your Honor, the state is recommending a $1,000 total surety bond. That's $500 for each count, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. We did not issue a stay away because it's not clear if he actually resides there or knows someone there.
All right. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, we have no objection.
All right. Bond will remain, bond will be set as recommended by the state, 1,000 surety and 500 on each count. All right. I believe that concludes the entire SCA calendar. Mr. Jordan, will you please review it for us?
Position 1 is a $1,000 good bond, reset SAP 2923, 250 for the first 2 charges and 500 for the third. Position 2 is a $2,000 sign-on bond pretrial. Position 3 is a $2,500 good bond. Position 4 is a reset SAP. Position 4 is a $1,500 good bond. 1,000 for count 1, 500 for count 2. Position 5 is a $2,000 good bond. Position 6 is a $10,000 good bond, 600 for count 1 and 1,000 for each of the remaining charges. Position 7 is a $2,000 good bond. Position 8 is a $1,500 sign-on bond, pretrial per judge. Position 9 is a $1,000 good bond. Position 10 is a $2,000 good bond. Position 11 is a $3,000 cash bond. Position 12 is a $5,000 sign-on bond pretrial per judge. Position 13 is a $500 cash bond. That was 500 right there.
It's
Position 14 is a $3,000 good bond. Position 15 is a $7,500 good bond. And position 16 is a $2,500 good bond, 2,000 for count one and 500 for count two.
any comments, changes, corrections, or questions? All right, hearing none, we'll be in recess until tomorrow's SCA calendar. Thank you, everyone, for your efforts today. Take care. Bye-bye.